And this is Julie Carrick Dalton, and we are here today to chat about joy and mysteries, but mostly joy. Hello, Julie.
Hi, it's so nice to see you again.
Well, I was reminded about how nice it is to see you because I was feeling joyful because you just won an intergalactic prize, and I'm excited for you. So, one of my joys is when people who I know and I love their work, good stuff happens to them. So, what's bringing you joy today? You want to tell us about your prize and other stuff?
I was awarded a Scholar of Note position, which sounds very fancy, at the American Library in Paris, which means I will be on going to Paris for a month, and they give me an office in this old, beautiful library in Paris, and I have a librarian at my disposal to help with research, and they give me an apartment, which is like a 10-minute walk from the Eiffel Tower, and all of Paris. So it sounds very dreamy, and all I have to do is write. I have to go into the office a few days a week and write, which sounds like a gift. And then I have to do a public facing lecture and attend some social events at the library. And it just sounds like I can't believe somebody wants to pay me to do this. It sounds like an absolute dream. And I'm so grateful. It's from the De Groot Foundation funds it, but it's at the American Library in Paris.
I'm
So yeah,
so proud of you. When I saw
thank
that
you.
news, I was like, oh my gosh, I know her and I will visit her. Will you have a futon? Um, well, congratulations on all good things. It makes me joyful when, again, when good things are happening and shining on people I know. I got to be in Paris. Oh, what is time? Very recently, like a week or two ago, leading a retreat there. And
Oh,
so,
fun.
as you and I are speaking, it's like
Oh,
practically on fire there. It's like 100
yeah.
degrees and Paris
Yeah.
is not made for the heat. But while we were there, it was like 75 degrees and the Eiffel Tower was sparkling and
Mm.
there was, there were croissants. So I'm sure when you're there in April, they will have figured out the temperature and
Well,
that will
it's
be
funny because
wonderful.
I had to pick the dates of when I wanted to go a few weeks ago when I was talking to them, and I was aware of the rising temperatures and the heat that's been happening in Europe in the summer. So that's why I was like, April sounds perfect. It'll probably be nice, maybe a little rainy, but I'm from New England. I can handle a little rain.
Yeah, you're built for weather.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. The very first time I ever went to Paris was kind of on a dare. I was maybe, oh my gosh, maybe 23, 24. I had my first teaching job and it was out in Seattle and I didn't know about winter break. I think of winter
Oh,
break as what we would have called Christmas break, but in
yeah.
Seattle, they took a ski week. In I want to say February around
Okay.
President's Day. So I had an accidental week off that I had not expected. And one of my neighbor teachers down the hall said, we should do something. We should go to Canada. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Canada. I want to go to France. And
Yeah.
I was just saying words. And she called my bluff and she's like, well, we could go to France on Tuesday. And it was this amazing moment where I thought maybe I needed to call and ask my dad because, like I was, am I
It
allowed to
was too spontaneous.
just leave the country? And my Auntie Kathy, God bless her, hello, Auntie Kathy, always said, keep your passport up to date because you never know
You never know.
when an interesting stranger is going to say, I have 2 tickets to Paris, but we have to leave tonight. And so
I love that. I love that you just went. I have a
we did.
similar story about Paris. It's funny. It's the only story I have like this, but it's about Paris. My husband was there for business years, it's probably like 15 or 20 years ago. And I had a book club, and our book club was meeting out in Concord, Massachusetts at the Alcott House because we were reading a book that
Little
engaged.
Women.
We weren't reading Little Women, but we were reading March by Geraldine
Geraldine
Brooks.
Brooks, yeah.
Yeah, and so went out to Concord, and while I was in Concord, my husband calls me from Paris, and he's like, "Come to Paris." And I'm like, "I can't come to Paris. We have 4 children. What are you thinking? I can't come to Paris." And they were all little at the time, and I was, of course, at a table eating with all of my best friends, and they were like, "You're going to Paris." And they all at the table were like, "Okay, I got soccer pickup, I got ballet, I got dinners, I got this." And by the time we finished lunch, I had bought a ticket and was going to Paris, and all my girlfriends filled in. So I met my husband in Paris for the weekend. It was delightful. That's the
That
only
is
time I've ever been as
my
an adult.
new favorite story. Oh my gosh. I love all of that. I love that you had a husband who's like, come to Paris. I love that your girlfriends did exactly what the best girlfriends do, which is just like, we got you. We'll handle it.
They
That is
did. It was amazing.
fantastic. I
Yeah.
love
So
that story.
I'm going back to Paris. I can't wait.
Returning to the scene, not of the
Yeah,
crime, but of the love.
my husband is coming for part of it too.
Perfect. Well, I'll watch your kids if you need someone to do that. I
Okay,
know they're older
I
now.
think they're okay. I think they're doing okay now.
All right. In addition to Paris, what else is bringing you joy these days?
It's summer, so it's gotta be the garden. I'm a big gardener. I love to grow, flowers and herbs, and especially tea. I grow lots of things to make tea. I have about probably between 2 and 3 dozen different herbs, flowers, and fruits that I grow to make tea with, so I spend all summer growing and dehydrating them, and then I make my own tea blends. I brought some to show you. You wanna see them?
I do because I have questions. I'm thinking of
Okay.
myself going to the garden, just like cutting things for tea, and it would be like dandelion weeds, and that's
So, yeah, so I have this is if you can see, this is
yeah.
echinacea flowers,
Oh yeah.
and we've got this is calendula, and I've got some mint here for you.
Oh, I have mint. It's so invasive. I could make that into tea.
You
Okay.
can, it makes a great tea, and then I've got some lavender, which I really like mixing with I didn't bring chamomile with me, but I mix chamomile, mint, and lavender. It makes a really lovely tea. I also
Okay.
have I didn't bring it with me, but I make, a bunch of like medicinal teas. I have actually I could use it right now. I have a little bit of a cough. I
Yeah.
make a cough and cold tea, and I make a tummy tea for like digestive disruptions. And my favorite, my most popular tea blend is menopause tea. I call it
Ooh.
menopausitivity.
Great.
So yeah, yeah. So I spend all summer growing and dehydrating herbs. I have a little writing cabin where and it's just this little one room cabin in our yard that is has like these it's very tiny and rustic, but it has beams in it, and so I drove nails into the beams and I hang herbs drying. So when I'm in my cabin, it's my writing cabin, I've got herb like surrounded by herbs drying. So it's kind of delightful, I'm not gonna lie. So that brings me so much joy.
Oh my gosh, that brings me joy just to envision that. You're gonna have to send me like a dried herb cabin selfie so I can see sometime with all these dried herbs. Now, question about the tea. Do I just put all of those things in a pot with boiling water, or are there some like
That's
would you never mix chamomile and mint? Or I mean, talk to me
yeah.
about this.
Okay, so funny you should ask how you blend them. You do it like this in a tiny, adorable teapot. It has a little compartment inside. You put all the loose stuff in, and then you pour the water over it. But there's, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong you could do, but there's things that go well together. And so I really like lemon balm and lemon verbena, and I make tea out of them. And lemongrass actually makes a really nice tea, which I wouldn't have thought of. So I make a really nice bright lemony tea with those together. I grow 4 different types of mint. I grow a chocolate mint. Actually, that's not true. I have 5 types this year. I have a chocolate mint, peppermint, spearmint, apple mint, and strawberry mint. If you ever have the opportunity to smell strawberry mint, please do not pass it up. It smells like strawberries, but it's minty. It's delicious. So there's just certain herbs that go together. And then when it comes to like medicinal blends, there's certain things like the cough and cold. I put anise hyssop in there, which is good for coughs. Mullein is good for coughs. There's a bunch of different herbs I use for different things. But it's very fun. My husband thinks I'm turning into a witch, which I'm not going to argue with.
Bring it. I think
Yeah,
I think secretly most of us are turning into witches, and I think
I think
we've
so
been
too.
sold a bill of goods. I think bring it on. I
Yeah.
think I'm entering my hex decade, and I think
Yes, I love that.
that's
I love that.
stand in your power and just I know, do your
Yeah,
brew,
I'm gonna
meet your
pour a
coven.
cup of tea while we're talking. I'm just gonna pour a little tea here.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep, there we go. All right.
Well, that is bringing me such joy. I am a lackluster gardener. I get really excited about seeds and then I forget to water them or I forget to weed them. For Mother's Day this year, I asked my kids for dirt, but also for an hour of weeding so that we would reclaim the little beds that we made during COVID and just dig them out. So I was in there yesterday. It's been cold here in Cleveland. We're about to get a heat wave, but it's been cold. And so I still have lettuce, which is my favorite, like the
Yeah.
greens. I
Mhm.
still have kale and lettuce. So I was picking a salad
Nice.
yesterday and I stumbled across a few of the snap peas, which I've forgotten that I planted and they were just sort of tendriling around. So I was
Oh, I
eating
love that.
snap peas and grabbing lettuces and then basil, of course, because you have to with basil
Yeah.
and throwing that into salads and things like that. So I'm not anywhere near as proficient as you, with your bushels of potatoes or all the things that I've heard you grow in the past and all your
Yeah.
teas, but that brings me joy. I think you should always be trying to see something grow,
Yeah, I
something
agree.
grow. I agree.
Yeah, I think that the takeaway quote from this interview already, I know what it is it's for Mother's Day, I asked for dirt. It's got to be, if you ever read a memoir, I feel like you can't, that's like such a good line. I love that.
I like to set the bar low, because if a child can't even get their mother dirt for Mother's Day,
Yeah.
like what are they good for? I
Yeah.
find that they need to be a little directed. They stress out about Mother's Day, so we just
The
bring me
dirt
because
that
I
was,
don't want to have to grab the dirt. I don't want to have to carry the things of dirt. I don't want to have to wheelbarrow them from my car, and it's a whole dirt plus the transport of it
yeah,
and the dumping it
messy.
in the
Yeah.
garden. So
Yeah. It's
brings me
work.
joy. Okay, maybe let's do one more. What's one more thing bringing you joy,
Oh my gosh.
these
Well, I
days?
mean, I'd be remiss to not say my new book. I have a new book coming out,
Right,
and The
right.
Forest Becomes Her. It comes out in July, and I love the book. It brings me a tremendous amount of joy, and I can't wait for people to be able to finally read it. It's my third novel. Can I tell you a little bit about it?
Please do. I'm secretly reading it. I have an advanced
Ooh,
copy,
okay.
so
All right.
I'm already reading it, but let's pretend that not everybody has a advanced copy, and tell me a little bit about,
Okay.
The Forest Becomes Her.
So it's set in Concord, Massachusetts, and it's a contemporary novel. And it's about a forest, like an old growth forest in Concord that was clear cut to build a eco-friendly housing community, which is kind of ironic. But it's about three women. One's a 13-year-old, one's in her 30s, and one's in her 50s that live either in or next to this new housing development. And how these three women are all for different reasons going through some, kind of a hormonal storm, some form of, trauma or grief in their life that makes them feel sensitive to the grief that the land is feeling. And so they, start to believe for different reasons for each of them that maybe they're being haunted by this absent forest. Now, whether it's a real haunting or not, you're going to have to finish the book to find out. But it's about kind of the bonds between women and nature and with each other, because the through line of the story is that although the forest was clear cut, one tree was left. And these three women are kind of an unlikely trio of women to come together, and they come together to try to save a single tree. And there's a lot more to it than just saving a tree. They're kind of saving themselves maybe in a lot of ways to try to save this tree, and that they find community and friendship with each other. And so it's about friendship, about intergenerational friendship between women, which I really like. And it's also a little bit about what a community loses when a forest disappears, because it's more than just that we can't see the trees. It's what's happening under the soil. It's what's happening to all the creatures that inhabited that soil. So there's a ripple effect. And I just pushed it a little further into this potentially haunted space. It's in the haunting, whether it's psychological or a real haunting, it's kind of a reverse of what we're used to. It's not a person haunting a place, but the place haunting the people. That was really fun to write. So so I'm really excited to share it with everybody.
I'm excited for you too. Were you a kid who had a tree or trees? Are you a child of the forest? Would you say that looking back at your growing up, were you
Do I have like
spending time
leaves in my
trees?
hair or something? No, I was absolutely a child of the trees. So the backstory of why I wrote this book is when I was a kid, I had trees all around my house, and I used to spend a lot of time in the woods. I was very intimately connected with the trees. I had names for all the trees that I'd made up. And when it was like a place I used to go read a lot, we mentioned the Alcotts and Little Women earlier. I read Little Women there. I read all of my Judy Blume books. I think I probably read Flowers in the Attic back there at an age way too young to have read it, but I loved it. And when I was 13, they cut down the trees and they built houses, and it was really, really devastating for me. And so I gave that grief that I felt about losing that forest to one of my characters, who's the 13-year-old girl named Polly. And I just handed off that burden that it sounds maybe silly that but I really feel like I experienced the loss of those trees like a death a little bit, that I carried with me my whole life. And in in giving it to Polly, it was actually a little bit therapeutic to write about it, to see it through Polly's eyes and let her hold that burden that I'd been carrying. It would not take a lot, if you probed me, and don't do that, to make me cry. Just thinking about like that moment in my life when I lost that forest. So it felt really nice to have a way to kind of work through that.
Oh, that's beautiful. There's a new rule this year that we're allowed to have feelings, so it's okay. It's new this year. You probably didn't even see it. It's new this year. But I love the naming of trees. I used to climb a crabapple tree in my friend Stephanie and Katie's front yard, and we had different areas of the tree that were kind of claimed by this was the reading
Yes.
session, and this was we named the actually the branches. We had street names, and if you were going to go to the very tippy top, that was like the cherry on top of the crabapple tree. But I
Oh,
think
I love
that
that.
a lot of us had, we have tree memories, and
Yeah.
I like the idea that some of my favorite storytelling is when I take something real and I
Hmm.
fictionalize it. And I know some people dismiss auto fiction, but taking a very real truth, right? The love of a tree. I mourned when the new owners of that house cut that tree down. I
Oh,
wasn't just missing my friends, but I was missing that shared neighborhood tree that was
yeah.
ours. Similarly, my dad, my dad always would coax the little saplings. So we had a really big old maple in our front yard that was the last to drop its leaves every year. So everyone else would be raking in like September and October, and the Kellys would be raking in the sleet in November. But he would always like coax the teeny tiny saplings. So we had
Yeah.
trees all over our front yard. And the year after my dad passed away, uh, when we sold the house, the first thing they did was take down that tree. And
Oh,
it was just like
oh my gosh, that's brutal.
oh, I wept so hard just because it was this old gnarled, we had
Yeah.
swings and my dad had pushed us into the branches. I remember he would push us up there and we would try to grab handfuls of leaves and pull them down. He would push us so high into the tree. And then the idea that he was gone and it was gone. I do think we grieve these living beings that were our trees.
Yeah, I agree. I have memories of climbing trees with my friends too. I grew up in Germany, and in my yard we had this tree, and it was pretty tall. And my friend and I, we were very precocious readers, and we were like both of us, and we were. I remember reading Little House on the Prairie in this tree when I was in kindergarten, and we would climb up the tree, and we were so brave. I mean, we climbed very high up in this tree, and we would sit up there in our spots, like you're saying, you had designated spots, and we would sit up there and read, and we felt so brave and so removed from the world and away from everything on the ground. And a few years ago, my father unearthed some pictures of us in the tree, which I was so excited to see. We were like 4 feet off the ground. It was, I was like, absolutely not. I do not accept this memory. I do not accept this. We were miles high in this tree and we were bold explorers up and in my 5-year-old memory, we were soaring up in the sky, but
Oh my gosh.
apparently,
Okay, you're gonna have to share that picture on socials, but you're gonna cut the bottom of it off. So we're just gonna
yes,
see
yeah,
we're just gonna see the tippy top, and so we're gonna envision you like
so
the
brave.
dogs in the Go Dog Go book, and they're at the very top of the tree, and you're having your reading party.
100%.
I love that. Okay, we always do joys, but then we also do one mystery. I have 3 cards for you. I've got light pink and medium pink and
All right,
and gray.
let's go for the pink one.
Okie doke. I have 2 pinks. So this light
Oh,
one
okay.
here.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Let's do
All
the
right.
light pink.
Sounds good. Could you tell me a story or memory of one of your siblings? Okay.
Mm.
So a story or memory of one of your siblings. Okay. You want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Um, I can go first.
Okay.
So I have one sister. She's 4 years younger than me. Her name is Susan. She's out there. Hey, Sue. She and we've always been very, very close, except for a 6 month period when I was 13, when I was a monster to anyone who came near me. But other than those 6 months, we've always been very close. And I think she's forgiven me for those 6 months. But when we were little, our bedrooms were down the hall from each other, and I would sometimes, after our parents would go to sleep, my sister would run down the hall and get in my bed. I had a double bed, and I would like make up stories, and I would tell her. I felt for some reason very like old, like I was the older person guiding her, telling her bedtime stories, and I loved it. I would make up all these stories, and then she would just fall asleep there. My parents would wake up in the morning, and she would be in my bed. But we used to do that a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's sweet. I feel like If I told sister stories, they'd be all like us fighting over our room because we shared a room. So this is good. You guys had the
Well, maybe
separate
that's
space.
yeah, I think that's probably the key to why we got along so well, is we didn't have to overlap our space or anything.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
I love that. Well, I have one sister and two brothers, and the first story that came to mind since we were talking about trees was my little brother Kevin is 10 years younger than I am. So I remember I was probably 17 and he was 7. And at the end of the year, they were allowed to pick one person's house to go to on their end of the year picnic and had to be within walking distance. We always went to Corey Baker's for some reason. Hey, Corey. But Kevin really wanted them to come to our house. So he tried to sweeten the deal by telling them about all the things we had and how we had a basketball hoop, which was true, and how we had a swing set, which was true, and how we had a two-story tree house that you could jump off of and
Hmm,
fly into the trees, which was not true. We
not
didn't have
true.
that at all. So the class voted, his class voted to go to his house because of the two-story tree house. And so Kevin came home from school and said, "Hey, just so you guys know, we're going to be coming here for the school picnic." And Dad, I need us to build a tree house. And my father says, "Yeah, we'll do that someday, buddy." He's like, "No, no, we need to do it tomorrow." And my zany, crazy father said, "Okay." And
Oh
he
my
went and
gosh.
saw the guys at the hardware store, and he and Kevin drew some sketches. And my father, in a matter of days, my father, who was a high school history teacher and not a carpenter of any kind, um, built my brother what eventually became a two-story treehouse that you could jump out of onto the swing and swing up over
Oh
the
my gosh.
garage.
What a good
All
dad.
all from a lie my brother told when he was probably 7.
Wow. That's a good lie.
Right?
That's a great story.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. These dads and these trees. Well, Julie Carrick Dalton, thank you so much for ducking in today and sharing joys and one mystery. And I'll be sure to share links to your book because folks can pre-order it now and it'll be
Yeah,
out here in the world. The forest becomes her in a matter of weeks. So I'm
yeah,
excited. And thanks for stopping by. And everybody else have a great day, whether you're in your garden or in the trees. We are wishing you joys and a little bit of mystery. Take care.
thanks for having
Thank
me.
you. Bye-bye.